this video is going to be the second video of installing the dual Weber's 34 ITCs in my wife's Karmann Ghia. I'm going to go over the adjustment. How do you adjust it? How do you do the final linkage? And how do you balance the flow between the two carburetors? I'm hoping this will help you in the future if you're going to be installing these into your Volkswagen. It could be any air-cooled Volkswagen will do the same. I'm not going over jetting. That's something totally different. That's not going to be in this video. This is just going to focus on tuning, balance, and linkage. So I hope this helps you, and have a great one. So I realized when I just started a second ago that it was popping. You know, Volkswagen engines will start. You can have everything wrong and it might even still start. But I have an SVDA distributor, and the number one starts here, not here when it's at top dead center. So I had them all off by one. I put them back. I started it up. It was really rich, so I know I'm going to have to turn in the mixture screws. But let me start it and let's see if we can get this thing going. Okay, the more I turned it in, the faster it went. I want to check a few things. I'm going to turn the idle down a little bit, so I don't want this thing revving so much while I'm doing the adjustments. So I'm going to pause while I get that done, because I got to get my fingers in there, and I'll be right back. Alright, I lowered the idle. Their adjustment on the idle screws was too much for this engine, so I lowered that down, so now I get back to it. I got it about 870 RPM. I'm going to try these adjustments. I'm going to go to the mixer screw, turn it in until it starts bogging, turn it back out until it's good idling. let it sit for a second and idle back into where it's going to settle. I'm at 960. I want to get it down closer to 9. The thing is, it doesn't go any further. I got to go back to this side, loosen it up. Because remember, they're tied together. I'm going to squeeze my arm in here. And right about there. jets are either too big or too small, and I got to make sure I'm in that sweet spot. So I got to count the jets, turn them in, turn them back out, make sure I have a certain amount of turns within that spot. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll come back and talk about it. So far we've done the air fuel mixture, we've done the idle, and we made sure the flow on both carburetors were the same, and we've done the linkage. One of the things I'm going to look at now is how are the carburetors working with this engine, this stock 1600. With the setup that I got, because I just purchased these carburetors. I didn't do anything to them except clean them up in the initial setup. So there's different jets in these. You got your idle jet, you got your main jet, you got an air jet. So are they set up right for this engine? So one of the things you can look at is your mixer screw, and it's got a sweet spot from 1.5 to 2.5 turns out. I'm sitting at 1.5, which means my idle jet is a little rich from what this engine wants. So I'm going to have to go through that and change the idle jets in here. While I'm in there, probably the main jets are too big also for this engine. And I'm going to look at that and probably drop those a little bit. I do get a slight bog when I step on it. I like a nice crisp response. And it's got a slight, not a real bad one, but I noticed it. One of the things I did was took the accelerated pump linkage and dropped it down. I was getting too much of a squirt, which was causing the engine to bog. Another thing of these carburetors being set up, I think, for a bigger engine, even though that they said it would work on a stock 1600, I think it's a little rich for this engine, and it's going to take a jetting to get it right. The other thing you can look at is the spark plugs, and I'll bet you these are going to be a little on the black side, because everything's telling me that the jetting that came with these from the manufacturer are just a little rich for this engine. And I'll get into that later on. So I'm really hoping that this is helping anybody out there that is going to decide to put dual carbs. This setup, I don't care what carbs you have, you change the air fuel mixture, you do all that on even the bigger versions, except instead of doing 2, you're doing 4. So that's all the same. And I hope it helps somebody. And looking forward, I'm going to have a jetting video on how do you change the jets, maybe go through a little bit on how do you decide on what you need to change, and we'll get into that later on. I hope this helps you. Have a great one. Bye.